Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all well wherever you are in the world. It is absolutely freezing in London today, hence why I've got about 14 layers on and I can't show you the gains at all today, unfortunately. So the purpose of today's video is about sleep and how it's still one of the most overlooked areas of our lives, and it forms the underlying foundations from which good nutritional and exercise habits will form. And if you're not sleeping properly, you are not going to get very far in your attempts to build muscle and lose fat. So the first part of the video is going to discuss how sleep, and poor quality sleep in particular, impacts muscle growth, fat loss, dietary adherence, and then the bonus tips will come in the later half of the video, so stick around and I'll be giving you 4 great key tips on how you can improve your sleep quality and sleep duration for more gains, better mental health and overall well-being. Before we get into the video, a reminder to drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and we'll get into those tips. Let's go. So how does sleep impact muscle growth? Well, in the gym you're providing the stimulus to your body to signal that we need new muscle tissue by overloading the stimulus through mechanical tension and then progressive overload, increasing the stimulus over time, right? What we do outside of the gym is just as important, and the body is going through repair of muscle tissue when you are outside of the gym and sleeping overnight. Now, the body will produce human growth hormone during stage 3 of non-rapid eye movement sleep. So if you are getting poor quality sleep, then this is going to massively hinder your efforts to repair and grow muscle tissue. And this 2020 study showed that one night of total sleep deprivation can reduce muscle protein synthesis by 18%, increase cortisol, which is a catabolic hormone associated with stress, by 21%, and decrease testosterone by 24%, which is one of the main muscle building anabolic hormones. So you can see from this study that although it is only in an acute setting for one night of sleep deprivation where levels of these hormones were taken the next day, it's still having a massively negative effect, and that is just one night of sleep deprivation. So in terms of fat loss, poor quality sleep is going to have a massive negative impact on your fat loss efforts as well. This study compared cases of getting 8.5 hours sleep per night versus 5.5 hours sleep per night over just a 14-day period, and the results are pretty drastic. If you look at the amount of fat loss that occurred over a 14-day period in a calorie deficit for both conditions, you'll see that 0.6 kilos was lost in the group that only slept 5.5 hours, whereas the group that slept 8.5 hours lost 1.4 kilos of fat. So you can see that both cases of being in a calorie deficit, the way that the body actually utilizes energy when it's severely restricted on sleep shifts more towards breaking down muscle than it will fat. So this study showed the massive negative consequence of not getting sufficient sleep in terms of fat loss efforts. They also reported significant increases in hunger, which I'll get to on the next point in terms of how sleep impacts our hunger hormones. So in addition, sleep is going to have a negative impact on your dietary adherence. So if you are looking to lose some fat and eat well at the same time, eat plenty of fruit and veg, etc., a high protein diet, the problem with getting poor quality sleep is it throws our hunger hormones out of whack. So there are 2 hunger hormones. Leptin, which suppresses appetite, is the satiety hormone, so it makes us feel full, and ghrelin, which is signaling hunger and making us eat. An easy way to remember this is ghrelin is derived from the Greek word for growth, so promoting growth by eating. And when we get poor quality sleep, these hormones, leptin and ghrelin, are thrown out of homeostasis, so you are not getting these balanced hormones the next day when you are sleep deprived, which is why you're more likely to give in to cravings if you are constantly sleep deprived and just reach for that easy bit of junk food. So it's really important that you get good quality sleep in order to control these hormones. We know it impacts so many areas of our lives, but how do we actually go about getting more sleep? I'm now going to get into 4 key tips you can take away with you to get more sleep and better quality sleep on a consistent basis, and this is going to be a game changer for you in terms of your overall quality of life. Tip number 1 is going to bed at a consistent time each night and waking up at a similar time each day. And yes, I'm sorry, this does include weekends. I'm sorry to say, if you are going to bed late every Friday and Saturday night and then expecting your sleep to be the same on Sunday, it's just not going to work like that. So your body has something called the circadian rhythm, which is your internal body clock and will be aligned to the daylight hours. So for example, when you wake up in the morning and it's bright outside, your body's response to it being light is, right, we need to kick the body into gear, into fight or flight mode, and get into the sympathetic state, and it will release hormones such as cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and that is a good thing in terms of having it in the morning, peaking in the morning, because it gets us up and out of bed and ready to go. Now in the evening, when night falls, your body will release melatonin, which is a relaxation hormone, and it will promote sleep, and that is when the body thinks it is going into nighttime, when it's getting dark. So this circadian rhythm plays an important part in getting that consistent sleep-wake cycle, and you'll find that if you can get 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep, going to bed at a similar time each night and getting up the same time each day, you may not even need an alarm clock after a while, which is a sign that you are getting enough good quality sleep. So tip number 2 is limiting alcohol and caffeine intake, and they have slightly different impacts in terms of on sleep. So first of all, with alcohol, I think unfortunately there's a tendency, people think that it helps them get to sleep, but this isn't actually true. So when you have alcohol, it puts you into this sedated state of feeling drowsy, right? But it impacts sleep quality. So although you may fall asleep okay when you're having alcohol, even if you have a couple of drinks in the evening, it's going to impact the quality of your sleep. It will decrease rapid eye movement sleep, which is associated with things like memory. Alcohol also reduces muscle protein synthesis. It's going to reduce growth hormone levels, and it's also impacts, having it in the evening also can impair on melatonin release, which I've just mentioned. So although having 1 or 2 drinks each night may keep you under the recommended limit for alcohol intake, having that regular dose of alcohol could actually be really negatively impacting your sleep quality. Now on the flip side of that, caffeine is more an issue around the onset of sleep and delaying sleep. So obviously everyone has a different sensitivity to caffeine, so some people will have a higher tolerance than others, and you'll get those crazy people in Italy that will be having a coffee after dinner at like 8-9 p.m. and then still have no issue going to sleep at night. But for us mere mortals such as myself, I know if I have an energy drink or pre-workout at like 5 p.m, there is no chance that I'm getting to sleep at 10-11 p.m. that night. It is absolutely game over. So it's important to recognise how much caffeine impacts you and also regulate it as well. So I would recommend that you cut off caffeine at lunchtime, because it has a half-life of up to 6 hours. Now this means that if you have a pre-workout or a coffee or something like that at 4-5 p.m, 6 hours later when you're trying to go to sleep, you could have half of that caffeine content of what you've consumed in your system still, so which keeps us alert, and this isn't going to help you get to sleep. So point number 3 is getting bright light exposure during the day and then limiting blue light exposure at night, and this is all back interlinked with the point about circadian rhythm and ensuring that your internal body clock is getting the cues it needs to promote sleep at night and then be wakeful during the day. So it's been shown that getting natural sunlight or exposure to bright light during the day can be beneficial for your sleep at night. Likewise, blue light from things like electronics such as your laptop and your phone that most of us are on at night in the modern world, it blocks the release of melatonin, which, as I've already mentioned, promotes sleep. So if you are on your phone all night or watching Netflix until the minute that you try and go to bed, then you have been blocking the release of this melatonin, and you're going to find it a lot longer to get to sleep at night. So there's a few ways around this that I'd recommend. So you can download an app called Flux on your laptop or on your Android or Apple devices, and on your phone you can download an app such as Twilight, which is a blue light blocker. You can also purchase some snazzy blue light blocking glasses on Amazon if you want as well. So there's ways around blocking this blue light, but it's an important way of not having a negative impact on your sleep if you are obviously watching Netflix or on your phone at night. So have ways around blocking this blue light, and try and get off your phone and electronics earlier, around 2 hours before you're going to bed. So my fourth key tip for you is sleep hygiene and environment. So such as taking a warm shower or bath about 90 minutes, 2 hours before bed, sometime like that in the evening, is going to help prepare your body for sleep. And all of the things that we'll talk about here in terms of sleep hygiene are generally trying to get ourselves in the parasympathetic state, which means rest and digest. And this is the part of the nervous system which helps to promote sleep and just to get us in a relaxed mood. So it's really important that you are creating good habits that can prepare yourself for sleep each night. One of those being taking a warm bath or shower. You can also look at things like meditation, which is going to help keep you in the present and reduce things like stress and anxiety. Journaling is great. Reading before bed rather than being on Netflix until the minute you go to sleep. So allocate an hour before bed to read, which is great because you can learn new things, take yourself away into a good book or a good story, and also prepare yourself for sleep. You can also look at things like tapering off liquids at night as well. So how many of you are having to get up in the night to go to the loo because you're drinking too many fluids in the evening? What you want to do is fast track your hydration in the morning, get ahead on your water intake, and then as you get to evening, have a little bit with your last meal of the day, and then taper off the liquids before bed. So making sure that you don't have to get up in the night for the loo if possible. You can also think about things like not having dinner too close to going to bed, so give yourself at least a couple hours to properly digest that food and not eat too close to going to bed. Things like blackout curtains, eye masks, earplugs are all going to be great for blocking out distractions. Ensure that your room is at an appropriate temperature, so somewhere around 20 degrees Celsius is a good estimate to go for. So that's why you'll find in the summer that if it's too hot, it's quite difficult to get to sleep, so you can use things like a fan. No danger of that here in London at the moment. It's absolutely freezing, so yeah, we'll ignore that point for a few months anyway. Last bonus tip is, if you've got all of these 4 key things on point and you already are using appropriate sleep hygiene and taking care of yourself, you can consider some supplements as well to aid your sleep quality. Things like L-theanine, potentially ashwagandha, magnesium. Some of these supplements are backed by decent research. So that's it for today's video. Really hope you took something valuable from it, and once you start taking proper care of your sleep habits, you are going to see massive results in terms of all areas of your life. If you are interested in online coaching and looking at these things in more detail, my coaching service provides a thorough look through on a weekly check-in on your training, nutrition, sleep, stress management, all of these areas of your life. So the link is in my bio if you are interested in getting some coaching and leveling up on all of these areas of your life. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you guys on the next one. See you in a bit. Bye.